Dr. Oz decided to support Trump's unfounded and insane claims that the 2020 election was rigged and stolen from Donald Trump. And he did so in the context of a debate. Dr. Oz, of course, is running for a Senate seat in Pennsylvania. So this was during the Republican primary debate for that Senate seat. Moderators asked whether it was time for the GOP to move forward as Trump continues to talk about the 2020 election. Now, what did Dr. Oz say? Oz said he had discussed the 2020 election with Trump and that, quote, "we cannot move on." Interestingly enough, his primary opponent, another Republican, David McCormick, said it was a tragedy that most Republican voters in Pennsylvania didn't believe in the integrity of the election. And of course, over and over again, Oz pointed to the fact that Trump endorsed him, particularly over his chief foe, former hedge fund CEO David McCormick. Now, it is interesting because this wasn't always Dr. Oz's position. He was actually asked point blank, what would you do if you were a senator in Pennsylvania? Would you certify the votes for Biden? And here's what he had previously said.
If you were a sitting senator in Pennsylvania, would you have certified those votes for Joe Biden?
I think by the time the votes had gotten through the entire process, and remember, what ended up happening in my Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is that there was not a timely and effective adjudication of what went down. So now you're in this legal quandary. And the question as a Republican is, am I a law and order guy? And once the law was broken at a place was way before I'm supposed to decide,
Sure.
I didn't have a choice. And I would have voted to certify, to preserve our Constitution. We don't want to ever be in that situation again.
He would have certified the votes. He was very clear there.
Yeah.
No, the thing about Dr. Oz, I'm sure that he, in some ways, is a very smart person, right? I mean,
no question,
surgeon. He's done some quackery in the past. I get that as well. But he's not a dumb guy. But he thinks everyone else is dumb, and that's a problem. Because that video that we just showed you is not from that long ago, clearly, and he just thinks everyone forgot, including the right-wing voters who continue to attack him for very clearly flip-flopping due to his own political ambitions.
Yeah, so look, I have an interesting perspective on this because I'm Turkish, so I've known Dr. Oz from a while back, and the Turkish community has known him forever, way before he went on TV, because he's actually was one of the best heart surgeons in the country. So the Turkish community, since it's small in America, was super proud of Dr. Oz when he was a heart surgeon. He goes on TV, and some people were like, well, I mean, I don't know why you got to do that. I mean, why don't you just stay a heart surgeon? And I thought that's not fair, especially because I'm a talk show host, so I didn't mind that. But a lot of people were like, okay, then he started doing the quackery on the TV show. And a lot of Turks were like, oh, that's super embarrassing. You were one of the best surgeons in the country. Why are you saying nutso stuff on TV? Just what, for fame and money? You already had money. What do you need this for?
It's never enough.
It's because it's never enough. Now he goes into politics. Brother, you had all the money in the world, all the fame in the world, what else do you need? No, he's gonna debase himself. And he's gonna go kiss Trump's ass. Now remember, Dr. Oz is Muslim. I mean, I don't know what his religious affiliation is these days, but he's Turkish. I'm positive he was born Muslim. Trump said we should ban all Muslims from entering the country when he was running for office in 2016. And here this guy is kissing his ass publicly. That is humiliating. I don't know a single Turk left now in the country who isn't deeply embarrassed by Dr. Oz. So look, you've changed all of your positions. Your Republican opponents are loathsome, but they are correct. You change your position on pro-life, pro-choice, you name it, you switch your position. And that tells you he'll do anything for power, anything. It's a disease. There's just no end to the greed. And that's what you're seeing unfolding with Dr. Oz, and it's one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, and despite the endorsement from Donald Trump, some of the more prominent right-wingers, certainly on platforms like Twitter, have been pretty aggressively going after Dr. Oz, and they're specifically calling him out on his not so distant past and the things that he supported that certainly do not agree with what rabid right-wingers want in this country as we speak. So I just want to show you one more video that highlights all of that. I believe this is a political ad that was put out by his Republican opponent, David McCormick.
Senator Clinton, one of the smartest people I've ever met, is absolutely right.
Dr. Oz has spoken about some of what he thinks should be done.
We have to have affordable health care for all.
Affordable health care for every single American.
I joined a bunch of leaders. Hillary Clinton.
I'm excited by this.
Senator Clinton, one of the smartest people I've ever met, is absolutely right.
They've shown videos of him supporting women's right to choose. By the way, these are positions that I think are great. We should have freedom in this country. We should allow women to make decisions over their own bodies. They've shown segments where he's talking about transgender youth, and he's doing so in a much more supportive way. And now all of a sudden he claims that he's not in favor of transgender youth. He wants to ban transgender students from being able to participate in the sports that they identify with gender-wise. It's just, and I love to see it. I love that the right wing is calling him out on it, not because I support the other right wing candidate, not at all. But I do like the fact that for once, there's someone in a position of privilege who's being called out for just being an empty shell of a person who doesn't have a true identity, who doesn't have principles, who doesn't even have values. The only thing that people like Dr. Oz care about is themselves. They don't care about the country, they don't care about the constituents that they claim they want to represent. They're just representing themselves, their best interests, and they want to accumulate more power for themselves. That's who Dr. Oz is. So honestly, I love seeing them fight. They should continue fighting because people like this deserve to be called out.
Yeah, I mean, look, on the Republican side, it's a murderer's row of terrible people. David McCormick kept calling him Mehmet during the debate. Usually people call each other by last names. It doesn't have to be every time, but it seemed like he was trying to emphasize that. Mehmet's the Turkish version of Muhammad. And so, and by the way, David McCormick ran one of the largest hedge funds in the history of the world. And so, and he's gotten money from tons and tons of bankers, financiers, etc. And all of them are probably going to go up against, or whoever wins, I should say, is going to go up against John Fetterman, who has a 30-point lead in the Democratic primary. Fetterman is a badass populist progressive. I can't wait to see that big money, big hypocrisy, big lies against a real progressive. Can't wait to go to work on those homes. Go support John Fetterman. Everybody on the Republican side is terrible. And at this point, I mean, look, his answer to the transgender issue had so many terrible parts to it, Dr. Oz's did. But including, he's like, he said, I was just doing that for the networks. That's what the networks want. Well, which one is it, man? Are you saying, when I was on TV, I was lying because that's what TV executives want, so I just did it for money? Or are you lying now and you actually believe in transgender rights, but you think I have to kiss Donald Trump's ass, I have to be a terrible, hateful person in order to win in a Republican primary? Either way, deeply embarrassing.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.